People will do almost anything for views. Licking ice cream and putting it back in the freezer. Throwing cake at strangers in a mall. Pranking people in public. Most of it is harmless and stupid. But there is a YouTuber named Normie who has taken the concept of doing anything for views to a place that is genuinely difficult to watch. Not because it is embarrassing, because it is actually dangerous. He stayed awake for 11 days straight, and then a few months later, locked himself in complete darkness for a month with no light source. And the footage from both of these challenges shows someone whose mind was coming apart in real time. The question is whether any of it was worth it. Normie is a YouTuber and streamer who has built his audience through extreme challenge content. Not the kind of extreme where you eat something disgusting or jump into cold water for 60 seconds. The kind of extreme where you push your body and mind past the point where medical professionals would tell you to stop. He started going viral because his challenges are not just uncomfortable. They are genuinely dangerous. And the live streaming format means his audience watches everything unfold in real time with no cuts and no edits. What you see is what is actually happening. And what has been happening is increasingly difficult to justify as entertainment. The world got to watch as Normie slowly descended into something genuinely alarming. At 24 hours without sleep, the effects on the body are already measurable. Reaction time slows. Cognitive function drops. Perception starts to shift. At 80 hours, which is roughly 3.5 days, hallucinations become possible and the ability to accurately assess your own condition deteriorates significantly. Meaning the person least equipped to judge whether they should stop is the person doing the challenge. YouTube struck his channel partway through the sleep deprivation challenge because the platform determined he was promoting self-harm. With a strike on his channel, he could no longer live stream there. So he moved to Kick. And then Kick banned him too. Getting banned from Kick is genuinely remarkable given that platform's reputation for tolerating almost everything. He eventually found a home on Rumble, where he successfully completed the challenge. 11 days without sleep, documented on camera the entire time. And a number of his viewers were concerned enough during the attempt that they called the police to do a welfare check. Officers showed up, checked his blood pressure, determined he was alive, and left. And he kept going. When someone completes a challenge that's genuinely dangerous and it generates views, there is only one direction the content can go. More extreme. Because the audience that found you because you stayed awake for 11 days is not going to keep watching you play video games. They came for the danger. And if the danger stops being present, so do they. This is the trap of extreme content. Every challenge you survive becomes the new baseline. Every record you set becomes the new floor. And Normie, a few months after completing the sleep deprivation challenge, announced his next one. Complete solitary confinement. In a room with no light source. For a month. The goal, in his own words, was to stay in there until he went crazy. Before getting into what happened, it is worth understanding what prolonged isolation in complete darkness actually does to the human mind. Your circadian rhythm is your internal biological clock. It regulates sleep, hormone release, body temperature, and dozens of other processes. It is calibrated primarily by light. Remove light completely, and the clock loses its reference point. Without that reference point, sleep cycles become unpredictable. Mood regulation breaks down. Cognitive function deteriorates. People who have been subjected to extended solitary confinement in prison settings have described permanent psychological damage from the experience. Normie was voluntarily doing this for 30 days. On camera. For views. The first day in complete darkness starts relatively normally. He talks to the stream. He tries to sleep. He seems okay. By day 2, things are already shifting. His sense of time is deteriorating. He is sleeping for unusually long periods, and then waking up disoriented with no way to know how long he has been asleep. The donation system set up for the stream means that viewers can pay to make him perform tasks, which adds a layer to all of this because the people donating are not primarily doing it to support him. They are doing it to watch him suffer in increasingly creative ways. And he has to comply regardless of his mental state because the donations are part of the content. As the days pass, the footage becomes increasingly difficult to categorize as entertainment. The confusion becomes more pronounced. His speech patterns change. He starts talking to himself in ways that suggest the boundary between his internal thoughts and what he is saying out loud is dissolving. His emotional state swings unpredictably. He cries, then laughs, then sits in silence staring at nothing for extended periods. The chat watches all of this live. Thousands of people treating a person's genuine psychological deterioration as content to consume during their lunch break. And the more visibly he deteriorates, the higher the concurrent viewer count climbs. Around day 20, something happened that marked the clearest moment of genuine crisis in the entire challenge. Normie put his head through a wall. The footage is uncomfortable to watch even in its edited form. His own comment section was asking why nobody was stopping him. And the honest answer is that there was nobody there to stop him. He was alone in a dark room with a live stream running and an audience watching. After 20 days without natural light, without a reliable sense of time, without the normal social anchors that keep a person grounded, this is what the challenge had produced. And the stream kept going. He finished the 30 days. He walked back outside for the first time after a month in complete darkness. And the footage of that first moment in natural light is genuinely striking because whatever came out of that room was visibly not the same person who went in. The adjustment to light alone took time. The disorientation was obvious. And while his audience celebrated the completion with a wave of congratulations, the more reasonable reaction might be to ask what a month of self-imposed sensory deprivation actually cost him. Not in views or subscribers, in actual psychological terms. Because the research on extended isolation and darkness is not ambiguous about the long-term effects. Here is the question that the existence of content like this actually raises. Not whether Normie is brave or stupid for doing these challenges. That is almost beside the point. The bigger question is about the system that makes this content economically viable. The views are real. The subscribers are real. The money generated from that audience is real. Which means there are enough people willing to watch someone genuinely damage themselves on camera to make it worth doing. And as long as that audience exists, the content will keep escalating. Because the person doing it cannot go backwards. Going to sleep after 11 days without sleep is not content. Neither is leaving a room after 30 days in the dark. The only direction is forward, into something more extreme, something more dangerous, something that generates more of the reaction the audience came for. Here is where I land on Normie. What he is doing takes a form of courage that is hard to dismiss entirely. Putting yourself through 11 days without sleep and 30 days in complete darkness requires something most people do not have. Whether that thing is bravery or a disconnect from self-preservation instincts is a fair question. But the more important point is this. Every challenge he completes raises the floor for the next one. The sleep deprivation record was the opening act. The solitary confinement was the escalation. Whatever comes next will have to be more extreme than both of those things combined just to generate the same level of reaction. And at some point, the line between content and genuine irreversible harm stops being visible from the inside. That is not a warning. It is just what the math of extreme content creation looks like when you follow it to its logical conclusion.